Well, good day, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar entitled Process Intelligence through Pragmatic Process Mining. I'm Candace Collins with Signavio, and I'll be your moderator today. Bernie Katathanam is a consultant at BPMD with expertise in BPMD discipline methods, tools, and approaches. He has vast experience in project management and data reporting. He's a creative thinker who uses many BPM principles to increase operational efficiency. Bernie's performance-driven nature has motivated him to continually assess and resolve business problems using data-driven technology. His knowledge working with databases enables him to accurately translate enterprise data into actionable insights to create the link between data and business value. Bernie's experience at BPMD combined with his career background have provided him with diverse knowledge base in finance, manufacturing, and life science industries. Just a couple of logistics. You'll see a question box on the right side of your screen. You can enter questions there as we go. We'll answer as many questions as time permits at the close of our formal session, and we'll get back to you after the session should we run out of time to answer all of your questions. You'll receive a recording of this webinar within a few days. And finally, once you end your session, you'll receive a short survey, and we'd very much appreciate you taking a few minutes to complete that, as your feedback helps us to continually improve our webcast for you. I'll now pass this to our speaker. Bernie, you now have the floor.
Thank you, Candace. Welcome everyone to today's webinar. Here's the agenda for today, starting with Process Mining Accelerator for Value-Driven Business Process Management, where we're going to find out how process mining speeds up your typical business process management journey. Process mining supporting the business process lifecycle, where you will understand how process mining can truly complement your business process management discipline. And lastly, process mining in action, where I'm going to present a demo of a real case example using process intelligence tool. So to understand how process mining is an accelerator for value-driven business process management, let's look at some of the challenges companies are facing today. Industry research shows that only 1% of organizations have their processes sufficiently under control so that they realize the full potential of their digital technologies. And 100% of those organizations have a formal process management organization established to achieve process excellence. So that means the other 99% spend a lot of money on digitalization, but they don't get the full value out of it. So to improve that, we look at the discipline of process management that helps to move your strategic goals into reality using technology and people fast and at minimal risk. Doing that has often been discussed, but the big challenges companies often face is that they are under time pressure with tight deadlines. And so we need accelerators to speed up the process of knowledge capture, understanding of the process, and improving the process through technology. And the value of every process technology is delivered through new and enhanced processes. The faster we can identify process information in order to improve them, the faster we get value out of our technology. And one important accelerator that can help us achieve that is process mining. Today, companies deploying business process management discipline in their organizations want to understand their processes better, to realize what is actually happening within the organization, and conduct analysis to identify where are the bottlenecks that contribute to process performance issues. And currently, you're relying on your subject matter experts to provide all that information on what they believe is the process executed. But what if they are making too many assumptions and estimations of process information? Do you really want to make important business decisions based on such information and what someone thinks is happening? No, you should be making those decisions based on facts. And this is where process mining can help you understand and analyze your processes faster and target improvements with minimal risk using data. Process mining gives you complete transparency into how processes are executed in your organization using data stored in your IT systems. Using artificial intelligence algorithms, process mining reads the data and automatically discovers your processes. Then using the discovered information in your data, you can conduct in-depth analysis to understand what is going wrong, where it's going on, and what's going wrong. And with the level of information that you have identified, you can now start to address efficiency issues, quality concerns, and any compliance violations in your processes, and focus your improvements in the right areas to achieve optimal process performance. So how does process mining actually work? It follows a three-step approach, and starting with locating the data that contains the process information, which you extract from your IT systems. Then you import that data into process mining tool, and it quickly identifies the process and discovers all the scenarios along with key performance indicators. And after that, using various analytical tools and capabilities, you can visualize your data to understand what is going on in the organization. With all this information, you can conduct in-depth analysis easily and understand if your organization is meeting its goals and whether improvement initiatives need to be launched to improve process efficiency and deliver value. So let's find out how process mining supports the business process lifecycle. Today, many as-is processes still require a traditional analysis, with manual work required to be able to effectively understand the process, because not all process steps are necessarily executed within a system or an application, and that information won't be available easily in process mining. But with the combination of both model-based approach and process mining, you can analyze processes better and generate results that are far more accurate using data-driven technology. So here is an example of a process mining visualization showing you the specific process, purchase, requisition to goods received, and it's a line chart showing you how the average cycle time of this process increases over time. Here you can exactly see how the exact average cycle time changes, how exactly the time is, and when exactly it happens during a time period. And this level of detail you'll never be able to obtain with the level of accuracy in traditional analysis and BPM methodology. And that's one huge advantage that process mining offers, in that you get this extremely high level of detail and accuracy into exactly what is happening and the reality of the process in your organization. And with that level of information and analysis, you want to conduct the necessary analysis to improve your processes and create your to-be design. And to achieve process performance improvements, you will be using typically your simulation tools to compute various inputs and process that information and generate reports to understand how your process will perform in the future. But all that input information is required for your simulation tool to generate very accurate reports. And this is where process mining can help you in providing that information. Process mining captures a lot of key performance indicators, and all that information provides you exactly the accurate information for what is happening with your processes today, and exactly the right data in your IT systems, providing you with accurate information on key performance indicators such as costs, cycle times, resources, and various other input data. And process mining can definitely at least partially provide you with that information, so you have some better level of accuracy with creating your to-be design. And process mining can truly help you create the baseline for ongoing process performance management. And process mining can definitely speed up your process discovery stage, where you're creating your as-is processes. You can definitely speed up that process with the use of event log data that process mining translates into your discovered processes, showing you a very in-depth level of your processes, showing you all the possible scenarios with various different key performance indicators to help you understand what the frequency of the process is and what the level of detail is. And with this automated approach to discovering your processes, you can really expedite your process of process capture and documentation. And with all that information available, you can conduct analysis very clearly and easily in your process mining tool. And with various visualization techniques and tools, You can summarize your findings and create different levels of investigations, focusing on specific areas in your processes to understand how your process is deviating from the standard. And one great advantage that process mining offers is establishing process governance in the form of continuous tracking and an assessment of your performance of your processes daily. And with the continuous tracking and assessment of your process performance, you have a great way to continuously monitor processes and actively identify any key process trends and any anomalies in your processes to understand if there's any process conformance issues or compliance issues. And you can use your process mining tool to quickly identify and proactively address those performance and process issues quickly. And when it comes to mastering your process lifecycle, it's extremely important to establish a simple tool architecture, starting with your process modeling or repository tool, where you capture your operating models, your process flows, and various other process documentation. And then along with that, you have your workflow accelerator, where you're capturing all your process information and conducting analysis further to understand where you can automate your process. And using various tools and systems, you're capturing system logs and event log data, which contains the very essence of your process that is actually happening in your organization. And using all that information, your process mining tool, which is your Signavio process intelligence tool, could help you in identifying your process performance in various different ways to understand any bottlenecks in your processes and actively address your process performance issues. And this is all very well complemented in the Signavio Business Transformation Suite. So now we can get to the process mining in action, where I'll show you a demo of a case example. Now let me give you a quick example of the work that we put into this insurance company. So this company launched multiple projects to address process improvements in their underwriter operations using traditional BPM methods, but did not see desired results in increasing efficiency and reducing cycle time of processes. And analyzing the work, we realized that we made too many estimations and targeted improvements in the wrong areas. They also had concerns over spending a lot of time capturing process documentation. We identified process mining as a solution to resolve these processual challenges using data-driven technology and analysis. Now I'll switch over to the Signavio process intelligence tool to show you how we used process mining to identify improvement opportunities in this case example. So here, what you're seeing right now on the screen is the process intelligence tool in Signavio Suite. Right now, what you're seeing is the data import screen of your tool. And since this is a case example, we have already imported data, as you see here, and we have already created an investigation. Now let's quickly look at the imported data. So this is an example of an event log data. Typically, every event log data at a minimum contains a case ID, and each case ID represents a unique instance of your process execution. Along with that, you have an event name, which indicates your activities or steps in your processes. And typically, each case ID comes with a set of process steps. And with each process step, you have a timestamp. And typically, a process mining tool could have a end timestamp and a process start timestamp. And that's typically the bare minimum information that you need to start investigating your processes in your organization. Along with that, you'll have additional fields or attributes to help you further analyze specific areas in your processes or target your analysis in specific areas, depending on what information is captured in your IT systems. Now let's look at the investigation that we have created and how we have used different visualization tools to help us analyze the different aspects of our processes. So this example, what we have here is the underwriter reading process, showing you how the process starts with with the user submitting policy requests, and the underwriter would undertake a couple of different actions, different scenarios. And what you're seeing here is the process discovery visualization, showing you how once you import your data into the system, it automatically generates this in-depth process flow. And on the right side, you have a activity slider and a sequence slider, showing you how you can move this up and down to improve and like change the complexity of the process that you're viewing here, and help you in showing you the different levels of data and the depth of information that is available through the data that you imported. And if we move it to the lowest level, showing you 85% of the discovered activities, on the left side, it shows you how the process appears with the different steps, showing you the sequence of steps for 85% of the processes discovered. What this indicates to you is that what you're seeing here, this version of the process is the most common version, as it's showing you 85% of processes in the 35 cases that we have here show this process scenario. And if we move this up, it increases the complexity, showing you additional scenarios that has been identified in your process data. And if we move it all the way to the top, showing you 100%, it shows you all the possible scenarios. And along with that, you can see all the number of times a step is executed and how it flows from step to step. And along with that, on the top right, you can click on cycle time to switch into the cycle time view of the process to show you what the cycle time is for these steps. It also provides you with all these key performance indicators, which will help you further analyze your process to understand if there are any bottlenecks. So one key finding that we identified through this analysis is that, for example, for the submission details updated process step, we noticed that on average, it took 15 hours and 28 minutes to be executed to get to the manuscript completed process step, which shows you that this could be a potential bottleneck, or there are additional factors leading to this process taking a significant amount of time to be executed compared to the other steps in your process. And what that tells you is that this step needs to be further analyzed to understand what is causing this bottleneck, and where we can improve this process step. If we need to understand if this is an actual bottleneck in your process, or if this still is a necessary step that needs to be reduced in terms of the number of occurrences in the future. So there are many ways you can interpret this information, and this is one of the key findings from our investigation, that this process step contributes to a significant amount of cycle time in our overall process cycle time. And that's one great way to make use of the process discovery visualization tool. And similarly, with all these different cycle times that you're seeing for the process steps, this is key information that could be utilized in your simulation tool. So let's say if you wanted to create multiple cases for process steps involving these steps, and this is information that you need to put in as your input for your simulation tool. These cycle times can be very useful in helping you generate very accurate reports out of your simulation tool to understand how the process behaves today with the as-is version. And using that information, you can redesign your process and establish your to-be design so that you can get a more accurate version of the to-be design that would be a more effective version compared to a version that you would generate using traditional analysis, where you're relying on subject matter experts to provide you with a lot of information that could possibly be a lot of estimations and assumptions. Another great visualization tool that we used to further analyze our process information is the variant explorer. Similar to process discovery, you have on the left side, you can see the different possible scenarios for a process sequence for the specific process. And on the right side, you have different variants you can select from. Each variant represents a scenario of the process discovered through your imported data. So variance 1 occurs 8 times out of the total 35 cases. 8 of the cases are showing this specific scenario where it's going through these specific sequences of steps. And if I click on another variant, it will show you a different set of tasks indicating another scenario. So you can easily cycle through these different variants showing you different scenarios. And along with that, it provides you information on how many times these scenarios occur in the sample data that you have imported. Along with that, you can click on the cycle time information here, and it will automatically sort your variants to show you the highest cycle time showing you at the top and the lowest cycle time showing you at the bottom. So you can further analyze and focus on the processes and the scenarios showing the highest cycle time. And for this example here, you will see that this variant with 1 case occurrence shows you that the average process cycle time is 18 hours and 53 minutes. So let's take a look at the process flow here to further analyze this information, see where we're seeing any bottlenecks. So here we can click on these specific lines indicating the sequence of the process steps, showing you how long it takes for each step to be executed from step to step. So for this scenario, status cleared, it took 3 hours and 18 minutes to get to the submission details updated stage of the process. Once you get to the submission details updated stage, you'll see that the cycle time for this specific step, it took 15 hours and 28 minutes. As seen before in our process discovery stage, we noticed that the 15 hours and 28 minutes is noticing that there's a high cycle time for that specific step. But with the variant explorer, you can pinpoint your analysis on a specific scenario of the process. And unlike process discovery, in process variant, you can see the overall cycle time of your process cycles for the specific scenarios that you're seeing here with the different variants and how many times it happens. So the 15 hours and 28 minutes for the specific step shows that that's a significant amount compared to the overall cycle time. But that information, what that could tell you is that these processes, if these were processes happening more often across a larger sample size, this could lead to a potential performance issue. And you need to further analyze this process step to see if you can reduce the number of occurrences of this step in the future, or if you can launch an improvement initiative to improve this process by eliminating this step completely and replacing it with a more efficient process sequence or step that would improve the overall cycle time and reduce it significantly. So that's one key finding that we identified through the Variant Explorer. But there's also another great way that Variant Explorer can be used, in that with these different cycling through these different variants and scenarios, you're updating your process model here, but you can generate a BPMD model based on which variant you select. So let's say I select the variant 1, click on generate. It opens the Signavio Process Manager tool and automatically generates a process model for this scenario that we have selected for this process. So it will automatically generate this process, and here you can easily modify this process. And once you're satisfied, you can save this and save it to your repository. So you have a version of this process saved. With the advantage that this offers you over traditional process methodology is that you can significantly speed up your as-is process creation. So let's say if you're at the earliest stage of your BPM journey, and if you haven't really documented a lot of processes, you can use the Variant Explorer to quickly document all the possible scenarios of your processes and you can select any combination of the variants to display multiple scenarios of your processes and generate the BPMN models in your Signavio process manager. So that's another great way you can speed up your BPM journey by expediting your as-is process creation. So you can speed up your analysis on your processes and have your process repository populated with a lot of end-to-end scenarios and process information captured quickly and accurately. Another visualization tool that we have used to conduct process compliance checks and conformances is your process conformance visualization. And this is a visualization tool or feature that is enabled if you have a BPMN model linked to your investigation. So let's say you're at the stage of your BPMN journey where you have already created a BPM model using traditional methodology, and subject matter experts have provided you with the information, and you have translated that into your BPMN model. You can link that BPMN model to your investigation and map the events from your imported data to the actual steps in your BPMN model. And in this investigation, in this visualization, it will show you two layers of your business process. One is your BPMN model showing you all the steps in your processes. And the other layer, color-coded layer, is your data-oriented version of your process captured from your imported data. What this offers you is that you have the ability to now compare between the data-oriented version and the model-based version to understand any deviations in your process, to understand if there are any deviations in your standard process, and if that information is accurate enough, you'll be able to analyze it further to see if you need to address any performance issues in your processes, if you're seeing a significant amount of deviation in your process, or if your process is not conforming to the standards based on the data, because the data gives you a more accurate representation of your process, while the model gives you a representation of your process based on your employee interviews and subject matter expert process capture interviews. So both information can be combined here to understand where there are deviations, and this tool can be greatly used to process governance, to continuously monitor your process to understand where there are deviations. And similarly, you can switch over to the cycle time here to show you the cycle time for processes. With that scenario is showing you the specific high cycle time in your overall process. And then here you can see where in those processes you're seeing the high cycle time. So we noticed earlier in our analysis that this process was showing you the for the specific step of summation details, adding the summation details was showing you a significant cycle time, where when it goes from that step to the next step, it took 15 hours and 28 minutes on average to be completed for that scenario. And when you further analyze that information, you can see that that could be a potential bottleneck and needs to be further analyzed and identified as an improvement initiative, where you need to reduce the number of occurrences at that step happening in the future, or completely removing that process. But also another great feature of this visualization tool or feature is that you can cycle through these different scenarios or variants in your process, and you can see how the scenarios vary with the two different layers of the process. And you may come across some anomalies in your process. So if I cycle through these, I believe in the later process scenarios, you'll see that there are process steps that are not actually mapped in your BPMN model, but they appear in our data-oriented version. So what that indicates is that for that specific scenario, where we identified a process step that was captured in our imported data but was not identified in our process BPMN model, could indicate that the subject matter experts may not be aware of this scenario in the process, or that this could be a very rare occurrence in your process that it needs to be addressed further, analyzing it further to see if this is a bottleneck or a compliance issue, that it was possibly a violation in your process. So when we investigated this further, we identified that this was a step that was executed because of the result of a violation in our submission. The way the policies for the insurance policy requests were submitted, we noticed a violation in the submissions, and hence why this step was triggered, indicating that this is a process step that needs to be carefully watched in the future and monitored to see that this doesn't happen more frequently in the future in multiple scenarios, and that we can address this quickly if we do find a large number of occurrences of this step occurring more often in future scenarios or process executions. Then we need to completely remove this step in our process through some improvement initiative, or reduce the number of occurrences of this step actually happening in the future. So that was another great finding that we identified through our investigation for this specific step happening that shouldn't be happening actually, but the data gives you more information about your process that you typically don't get from your traditional analysis and BPM methodology through your subject matter experts. So there's a whole lot of detail into the process that you obtain from process mining through data-driven technology. And with all this information, you can conduct process governance, and with confidence, you can make business decisions off of this information that's based on actual facts and the reality of the process that is executed in your organization. And using various other widgets and visualization tools and features, you can create more investigations on your process using various widgets and analytical tools in this process intelligence tool. And Signavio Process Intelligence makes it very easy to use different tools and capabilities and charts. And depending on your preference and what information is available to you, you can use different tools and features to combine your analysis and further analyze different information, in-depth analysis, to understand where are process bottlenecks that contribute to process performance issues, and how and where you're seeing these issues within your process, so that you can identify potential improvements and opportunities for improvements and target your improvements in the right areas. That way, once you launch your improvement initiatives and execute them, you can be confident that those improvement initiatives will be effective, and you will be able to accomplish your strategic goals effectively and quickly. And one advantage that process mining gives you is faster analysis and more accurate information to work with when compared to traditional analysis. And with that information, I'll now go back to our presentation, and we'll talk about some of the key takeaways from our investigation that we have conducted with our insurance company. So here we have our key takeaways. So one thing to remember with process mining is that it offers you with digitalization as a solution to improve your BPM journey and improve the different aspects of your BPM projects. But you have to remember that you have to combine it with your BPM methodology and the traditional analysis, because process mining only provides you with information that is available in your IT systems, and that is information that is only providing you with one layer of information, as in business processes may contain more than just steps that are executed in IT systems. There could be manual steps and other process steps that are not necessarily executed in an IT system, and those information cannot be typically captured in your process mining tool. So hence why you need to combine both mining and modeling approaches and they both complement each other to help you in achieving best value for your BPM projects and ensure that you have established a more outcome and value driven approach so that every action you take delivers value, and process mining can truly accelerate that time to value in that you can expedite most of the stages of your BPM project in a much better and accurate way. And that's one of the important factors of process mining when combined with your traditional analysis, in that it doesn't actually necessarily replace completely your traditional BPM methodology, but that it truly complements it. And with that, we have various other publications talking about different business process management discipline topics and various other topics. If you would like to learn more about it, check out our website, bpmd.com. If you'd like to learn more about it and want to reach out to me directly, you can contact me at my email address below. And I'm happy to help you and guide you through any questions you have on any topics on business process management. Now with that, I'll take it back to you, Candice, for questions.
That was great, Bernie. You no doubt helped our audience to better understand how process mining brings intelligence to processes. So that was really helpful. And I think this insurance case study and demo that you shared certainly made it real. And there were some great insights that you shared. So thank you so much for that. We have a handful of questions. We do have time for some, so this is great. You can continue to put your questions in the question box as you have them. So the first one, if you have old BPM models, can you start from the actual flow and create new ones and compare them? Because as we know, not everyone updates their BPM models along the way.
Yes, that's a good question. So one of the common misconceptions companies have is that, let's say if they are at a later stage of their BPM journey and they have established process models already, they may think that process mining is kind of redundant in that it rediscovers your processes and just simply states the same information that you already captured through your process models already. But the fact is that business process information captured through process mining offers you a completely more in-depth layer of information into your processes. For example, with the different input information that you typically acquire for your various other projects, simulation efforts, and so forth, such as cycle time, resources, costs. Those are information you can still obtain through your data, through the event log data that you capture in your process mining tool. And that's information that is actually very accurate information. And with the help of event log data, you can easily capture that information and translate that into your process mining tool to visualize that information better and actually understand what is actually happening with your organization. And today, BPM models are typically rely on subject matter experts, and there's far too many estimations and assumptions made to estimate those cycle time information, costs, resources, and all that information. And with all that information, you have a less accurate version of your process through BPM models. And that's where process mining can give you a whole advantage in providing you with a layer of information. And with that, process mining can only capture information for process steps that are actually executed in your IT systems. But BPM models captured through traditional process interviews provide you with a lot of information on your process steps, not just your IT steps, but also your manual steps or any process steps, usage tasks, all those information that are actually not executed in your IT systems. So that's two different levels of information that you acquire from both approaches that need to be combined together to get the best value. And that's why it's always great to always make use of process mining, even if you have BPM models already available. It's always great to have process mining so that you have an extra layer of information to provide you more accuracy over the already built BPM models that you have.
Very helpful and detailed. That's great, Bernie. Thank you. Next one, so you imported the insurance file. What is the file format you have to have, or is there something specific? And so therefore, can you discover ERP systems such as Oracle and SAP?
Yes. So for the insurance example that we used, we obtained our data from one of our underwriting operations applications that was used. And this was so information that we discovered from our earlier investigations with process analysis. And this is information that we obtained from our subject matter experts who told us which IT systems are involved in our processes. And with that information, we were able to locate the data in the correct database or application with the help of our IT department. And the specific file format that we obtained was a CSV file. And typically with CSV files, you can easily open them using Excel, Microsoft Excel. And one thing to remember is that when you obtain various types of event log data or other types of data that is used for process mining, you may have to modify that data to make sure that it's compatible with the process mining tool that you're using. And typically, process mining technology has made it very easy to acquire data from any or most applications and systems, in that most applications and systems have some form of data capture, and it typically takes some level of data manipulation to ensure that that data is ready. So Oracle, SAP, any systems will easily capture information as processes are executed in those systems, and you can easily extract that information in many different ways and modify that information so that you can ensure that that data can be easily read in your process mining tool. And you have very simple tools you can use to manipulate that information using Excel or other database-oriented applications such as Excel or Access. They have several tools to help you in modifying that data to ensure that most types of data can be used for process mining.
Excellent, thank you. And I think you touched a little on this, Bernie, but the question is, processes often span multiple systems. Can you capture processes across multiple systems or applications?
Yes, that's a great question. So sometimes processes contain multiple IT systems, and information, the event log data could be captured in multiple systems. One great thing that process mining does is it allows you to add multiple event log data to your process mining tool so that you can merge those data together, so that you have a version of your data that shows you all the possible steps and information capture from different IT systems. You can combine them together in your process mining tool. And process mining tools such as Signavio Process Intelligence makes it very easy for you to merge information together so that you have a more complete version of your event log data, showing you the full picture of your process that you can merge together and generate valuable insights off of it, so that the investigation analysis information doesn't miss any key information which may be captured in separate systems. But process mining does help you in combining them together.
Wonderful, thank you. Okay, are there adapters to directly connect to enterprise solutions for import and monitoring?
Adapters. I'm not quite sure if there are specific adapters to use. We typically just use our standard tools such as Excel files and various other tools to just simply extract information out of systems and view that information different ways. There are sometimes data could be available in different formats, not necessarily CSV files, such as XML, and there are some specific tools designed to read that data that are available in different formats, and that information can easily be read in your process mining tool. But there are definitely a few other adapters that I could probably provide you more information on. in detail, I can definitely follow up with you on that to provide you more information.
Good. We'll share information, of course, for contact information in case all the questions aren't answered, and to the best of our ability. Can you load existing models, BPMN models, into Signavio and then enlarge them and deal with them later?
Yes. So one important aspect of Signavio intelligence is that you have once you import your data and you start your investigation, you have the ability to add a BPM model that is already generated in your Signavio process manager. You can easily link that BPMN model to your investigation if that is a process that you're investigating in your process mining tool. You can link it to your process mining tool, and then you can compare the event data from your data, the events and process steps from your data, and you can link them exactly to the correct steps in your BPMN model, so that you have a synergy between the two different versions to ensure that you have the right steps mapped to the process BPMN model, so that when you do conduct your analysis, you ensure that it's conducting the analysis on the right steps in the right place. And Signavio makes it very easy to load BPMN models. You can load multiple BPMN models to an investigation, and you can display the BPMN model in the investigation itself, so that you can constantly view that BPM model along with the various visualization tools that provide you with analysis.
Got it. Okay. And you showed the models with the overlay of what's actually happening, which I think is always so interesting to see the difference. So the question is, once or if holes are found in the process, does Signavio have an automated way to correct them?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Sure. Once any holes are found, so I guess in the model, and then the to be and as is, I guess we can say, does Signavio have an automated way to correct them?
At the moment, I'm not aware of any specific technologies within Signavio Intelligence where you can automatically identify improvements. Typically, that's information where you have to make the judgment whether if you want to make specific improvements on specific areas in your process. The great thing that Signavio in Process Intelligence does is provide you with a lot of information on the bottlenecks and process information, and you can conduct root cause analysis to understand how you can address those gaps in your processes using various different widgets and visualization tools. You can represent that information so many different ways, and then it will highlight you where the problems are and how you can fix those issues quickly and effectively.
Yeah, we've seen such as adding resources, or maybe putting a bot somewhere, or as you mentioned, maybe even removing a step that was time consuming, those kinds of options.
Yes, so we're using those various key performance indicators that are easily available all throughout your investigation. You can analyze that information further to see if some of these steps in your processes are non-value added activities, and if they need to be completely removed from your process. Signavio Process Intelligence easily advises you on where to identify that information so that you can quickly evaluate your process performance, and you can easily share that information with your management to see how you can move forward with launching your improvement initiatives to redesign that process and ensure that you continue to deliver optimal process performance.
That's great. Thank you. We do have a handful that we probably won't have time to get to, but I think it's a good way to end with this really good question too. You've talked about how positive this is, of course. What would you say are the limitations of process mining?
So I may have mentioned it a couple of times during our presentation. So one of the biggest limitations of process mining is that you have to remember that process mining is a data-driven technology. So all the information and the insights captured through process mining is through data captured in your IT systems that are stored regularly as you execute process steps within IT systems. It leaves behind a digital footprint for you to extract and analyze further using process mining technology. And with that information, your process mining technology only provides you a version of the process that is using IT systems. But there's also a possibility that processes not necessarily have to contain steps that are executed only in IT systems, but they could be manual steps and other process steps that are not executed within an IT system. And with that information, you can only capture through traditional BPM methodology, where you're working with your subject matter experts who provide you with that layer of information on your processes with the manual steps. And that's not information that you can mine through process data and event log data. And that's where you have to truly complement both traditional BPM methodology and analysis, and your process mining through data, so that you can combine them together and get the better results in comparison to just having one methodology approach separately instead of combining both. So you definitely need to utilize both together to get the best value out of your processes.
That's great. Makes a lot of sense. So as I mentioned, we'll get back to the people where we couldn't answer questions 100%. And as we go to our last slide, I just want to remind you that if you could just take a moment to complete the very short survey as you exit, and we'll send the recording to you within a couple of days. And we'll get back to you on the questions that we weren't quite able to answer here live. And Bernie, thank you so much for your time. Would you like to close with anything?
Yeah, I would like to thank everyone for joining this session. I hope you all enjoyed learning more about process mining and how it can be a great complementary tool to help you in speeding up your BPM journey and really getting towards a better organization, targeting your strategic goals in a more effective manner. So I'm really happy to answer any questions you have. If you want to learn more about process mining or BPM methodology or our organization, feel free to reach out to me.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.